So when I got the announcement that I was going to be the Godfather of Sports Pharmacy, it was very humbling, and also I love it. It's kind of something I never expected in my entire life to have, and it really just boils back to when I was doing it. I would almost say I was the only person, the only pharmacist that would call myself a sports pharmacist. And people would even say, like, how do you know? Why are you that? And, well, I'm taking care of these professional athletes, and I'm working with the Olympics, and I'm doing different teams. And now I was out of it for 20 years. And now I've come back into sports pharmacy. And how it's changed is we have over 100 sports pharmacists that actually declare themselves sports pharmacists. And we have international sports pharmacists. So we have sports pharmacists that are coming in and developing themselves separately from even what I did in the very, very beginning. And it's much more clinical, much more specialized, much more niche market in how they're taking care of their athletes and what they're doing. And then the other difference is the passion. So all of a sudden we have these pharmacists that have this giant passion towards helping. And I think that's really the key thing if you go all the way back in the world of pharmacy, all the way back to my dad when he had his corner drugstore. It was all about helping the community and helping the neighborhood and helping people just coming in and talking to my dad. And he didn't do it for money. He did it about passion and care. And now I'm seeing that with the sports pharmacists. So we really have community pharmacy, community sports pharmacists taking care of the communities. That's how it's changed in my mind. It's expanded, but the passion and the caring of being a pharmacist is still there. I have to tell you that the Olympics was an amazing thing for me as well, and they suggested that I run the USA. There's an Olympic Village pharmacy that takes care of everybody internationally, and then the USA has their own medical team and their own facility and their own pharmacy. So I ran that pharmacy there. And I had no idea what I was getting into. They said, can you go for a month and we're not going to pay you? And I'm like, sure, I can do that. And I did. And I got the outfit. I have the shirts, the pants, the sweats, the hats, the suitcases, the socks. I got everything. And I still have it all folded up nice and neat in a drawer. And my wife is like, why don't you wear that stuff? I'm like, well, I don't want to wear it because I don't ever want to ruin it. It means a lot to me. And how did that affect how I looked at athletes differently? And the way I look at them differently, if you look at an Olympic athlete sometimes is almost like a child with their eyes, help me. That's how they are. They're like, I am working so hard at what I'm doing, and I'm struggling, and I'm exercising, and I'm doing everything every single day. And I have my strength and conditioning coach, and I have my team coach, my physical therapist, my massage therapist, my chiropractor, and I need somebody that knows drugs, and they really want to know. And so that's what I really found with the Olympics, and they're all different. Their bodies are 100% Olympic bodies. A wrestler's body is a wrestler, a runner is a runner, an archer is an archer. And that also they all have different needs in the process. But the number one need is they don't understand drugs, and their team around them also does not understand drugs at the level that the pharmacist does. So after going to the Olympics and seeing that look in their eyes of help me, that's what kind of brought it together. The medication scenario that gets mostly overlooked is multi-drug therapy. So you have an athlete, and on the very simplest terms, we're just saying anti-inflammatories, so non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, and the athlete is taking OTC, they're taking Advil at home, and the doctor is prescribing Voltaren for them as their orthopedist. So they're doubling up or tripling up on their non-steroidal anti-inflammatories without really thinking about it. At the very low end of pharmacy education, people don't know the difference between Tylenol and Advil. they think it's the same thing, and it's not at all. And so they say they have Advil at home and they have Tylenol at home, and they're like, oh, I take this for my headache, I take that one for my headache too. But really, this one's also an anti-inflammatory. So all of these drugs thin the blood. And so then they have blood thinning issues, and then they can fall, they can get a concussion. Actually a concussion with on non-steroidal anti-inflammatories could be tremendously worse if you're on a really high load and you have the blood thinning capabilities going on. That's why I think topicals are huge as non-steroidal anti-inflammatories, because if you think about it, if your elbow is injured and that's where your inflammation is occurring, and you're going to put anti-inflammatories into your stomach, well, it has to go through your entire bloodstream, your toes, your ears, your head, everywhere, just to get here, because nobody knows it has to go here except you. But if you put a topical non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, and you're able to get localized effect and localized treatment. So you really can get almost 90% localized treatment, 10% systemic, as to where if you put it in your stomach, you're going to get 90% systemic and only 10% effective. And that's why the dose has to be bigger too. So you're taking not only are you having a less dose to get a better effect, you're taking a bigger dose with bigger side effects on the other side. Pharmacists are underutilized right now because our healthcare system has issues with affordability. And so it's how does the pharmacist get paid for something that they're passionate about, that there's nothing within our system to pay that pharmacist for their services. So right now the pharmacists are underutilized because it's a gift. It's a passionate gift that is given, and then somehow you're going to maybe get something back. If you're an entrepreneur like I am, then I have the ability to be like, I'll help you and you help me with my business, and I'll help you back again with education and things like that. But if you're a pharmacist and you're a sports pharmacist, it's right now, today, it's giving. You're giving of your time, you're giving of your efforts, you're giving of your life, and how you're going to get paid for that is yet to even be unknown. So it's underserved because it's underpaid. It's really hard to predict 5 years on anything. For even you and I right now, if you went back and said 5 years ago, I'm going to be where I am today, we can't predict that. And so I did go 20 years where I was the top of the realm in sports pharmacy to today. And the big changes, as we discussed, is there's more people with more passion and there's more identity going on. I think with the advent of, as everybody says, AI, but AI and apps and digital access, I think that's what's going to expand it. Telehealth is another way that could help expand it. I think more and more and more as nurse practitioners or PAs or chiropractors, again, bleeding off that, not lack of knowledge, but not as knowledgeable as the pharmacist, that's what's going to excel the change. And I think that a sports pharmacist that knows drugs and supplements together, and also even understands drugs of abuse and clean sports, is going to be a pinnacle in an athletic population as opposed to on the bench, if you want to say. So that's how I think I'm going to see it. In 5 to 10 years, it's going to go more and more and more where people are like, where's that sports pharmacist? Where's the sports pharmacist? Because they know the answer to what we're trying to get to. And we were talking about affordability. Well, the healthcare system maybe is not going to afford it, but professional teams or NGBs or other forms of athleticism that are profitable, they could be affording it.